Hey guys, we are back at it in Warhammer the Old World. Obviously, they have shown off the new edition, the kind of 1.5 edition of Warhammer Fantasy. We have the new starter box coming out, which I think will be great for introducing new players into it. I have not managed to get my hands on it just yet. I'm still debating as to whether I want it or not. I have absolutely no intention of adding to my Cathay collection. I already have enough models for that. And I converted all of my new Age of Sigmar models to my Warriors of Chaos. So I already have the beautiful new Age of Sigmar Knights, based and ready to go on bases, and I've got the new Warriors of Chaos Warriors based and ready for the Old World. Same with Marauders. So I don't really think I need it. So I think I might just pick up the rule book and the new whatever the little small book is separate. I think that's what I'm gonna do. But yeah. Today's video, I am going to be tackling Chaos Knights, obviously because a lot of people will be picking them up in the starter box, and I want to make sure that video is ready for you guys to use on the channel for when you get your models. So like I said, I'm going to be using one of the Age of Sigmar models that I put on a rectangular base because I think it fits the aesthetic of the new ones, and I think all the paints and stuff I'm going to use are going to transfer over really, really nicely. Before I get into the video, huge thank you to everyone there. Continue to support the channels in all the myriad ways it is possible to do, liking, commenting, making sure you're subscribed to all three channels. Have you not done that yet? You should probably do that. It would mean a lot to me. Anyway, there goes the extra month supports over on Patreon. Obviously, a big thank you from me. Without you guys, can't keep these lights on or this camera rolling. So thank you so much. We do a million different things for people who sign up to the Patreon. They get extra videos, they get podcast episodes, access to a private Discord server, and we do monthly giveaways. You can choose any Combat Patrol or any Spearhead box set of your choice each month, and I will send it to you free of charge anywhere in the world. All you need to do to win the chance to be signed up to Patreon at any tier. Okay, without further ado, let's dive in and get this Chaos Knight painted up. And here are the beautiful Age of Sigmar Chaos Knights, which of course fit perfectly onto the bases and can be used for Warhammer the Old World. Now, when I said fit perfectly, the 5 knights that I have ranked up, they have to rank up in a very specific way so that they do fit. That's totally fine. I did a whole video on that before, showing you how to make them that way. And they just look menacing and huge and awesome. And I definitely think they still look great for the Old World. So the models got sprayed black and then got sprayed with lead belcher. This is obviously going to save me a lot of time because there's so much silver metallic on them, which means I could jump straight over to Retributor Armor Gold for the trim, and then just take my time and find out all the different sections of the model that I want to be gold. Now, I'm painting my specific Warhammer kind of Warriors of Chaos army to be Chaos Undivided. I'm not going crazy with Khorne or Nurgle or anything like that. No tints of a different color. They're just going to be that traditional kind of silver and brass color. I am doing red cloaks. It's not to represent them being Khornate at all. It's just because red capes are always looking awesome. So I wanted to fit that color in there. So yeah, don't worry about that. If you do want videos on specific Chaos Warriors painted to match specific gods, please do let me know. I can pull out 4 Chaos Warriors and I can do a whole video showing you each of them done as the specific gods, what I would do and how I would make them look like they're appropriate for those particular armies. So I don't mind doing that. Just let me know in the comments below if it's something that you want. So like I said, we used Retributor Armor Gold for the trim, then we jumped over to Cygor Brown and we used that for basically the entire horse, plus all the straps and stuff like that, handles of the lance and handle of the mace that he has on his back. Very quickly. And then we jumped over to red contrast, dark red contrast, the Flesh Tearers one, and applied that to all of the fabric sections that we like. So obviously the cape, the reins, he's got some kind of fabric hanging down from underneath his saddle. So we did that all in red. And then we grabbed some skeleton horde and painted that over any of the bone sections. So obviously the horns of the helmet and the hooves are about all that's really there. Some more models will have, you know, big crazy horns showing up out of the horse and stuff. So that's where you would throw on that skeleton horde as well. Now we used Army Painter Dark Tone for shading the model down. Usually we would stick with the Games Workshop paints, but I really wanted to knock all these colors down. I wanted a really dark place to begin the layering process from. And the new Games Workshop kind of recipes for the paint, for the shades, obviously are very good, but they're very, very thin. So sometimes I like to revert to something else that acts a little bit more like the old shades do, so that when it fully dries, you get this really dark, kind of grungy looking model. And that makes the perfect base coat to layer, which means I can then grab the lead belcher paint again and start layering the armor panels. And the lead belcher still reads as a nice highlight. It looks nice and bright, even though lead belcher is not a bright silver. So I don't have to go up to like Iron Breaker or anything like that and make it look really bright, which I think would defeat the purpose of kind of a Warrior of Chaos looking model. So yeah. So with this lead belcher, I just very quickly layered up the silver sections of the model in kind of a scratchy highlight, left all the dark tone in all the recesses and around all the trim. Quick dry brush across all of those chain link bits on the bottom, the chainmail. Liberator Gold was then brought in to very quickly highlight all the gold sections, all of that trim, the beautiful kind of demonic skull motif that's on his shield, and then pulling that down into the chaos symbols along the bottom. And then certain sections of the lance are going to go gold as well. Decided to just make the entire lance a giant iron pole. Maybe that would be too heavy for a human man to carry, but a warrior of chaos, who knows? So I'd rather it have something that can, you know, charge in and knock down fortress gates as opposed to just a small weedy wooden lance. Catachan flesh was then used very quickly to highlight and layer up the horse. I didn't want to spend too much time on the horse. I didn't want to spend too much time on any one part of the model. This is an old world army. It means I want to have quite a lot of miniatures. So finding quick, easy, and accessible schemes I think is super important. Like, I could sit down for an evening and get an entire unit of 5 knights base coated and watched, and then the next day I could spend the evening getting them all layered up, and I could have an entire unit ready for Warhammer the Old World in 2 evenings, which I think is the kind of progress that we need in order to see these kind of armies on the tabletop. Corn red was then used to highlight those red fabric sections that we did with the Flesh Tear's red contrast and then shaded down. This did a really nice job, but like I said, we did focus heavily on the kind of raised folds and left in between them all nice and dark and shaded. This will obviously emphasize all those awesome folds, and the detail that exists on this fabric is kind of crazy. When I decided to do this conversion work, I didn't know that the old world was going to get beautiful new Chaos Knights. I was still under the impression that they were going to, for a long time, stick to using nothing but old school models. That doesn't seem to be the case. We seem to be getting new versions of lots of models quick and fast. So maybe that will continue. I don't know. I'm a little bit happy, a little bit apprehensive. I thought I would just get to use my old collections and kind of build and paint those and be happy with it. But that doesn't seem to be what Games Workshop wants me to do. They want me to start all these new armies with all these new models. So what are you going to do? I'm a sucker for new toys. Wazdaka Red was then brought in and used to layer up that red one more step. I wanted to make it look a little bit more punchy, a little bit more pinky, if you will, which I think will push it a little bit further away from looking cornate. I think it's like a really dark blood red crimson. And I think this, like I said, pushes it more to the violet spectrum, which means that when you look at it, it doesn't read as belonging to the Lord of Skulls and Blood. So let me know, do you agree with what I just said, or do you think it still looks like it's a cornate model? Of course, the camera wants to focus on nothing but my lovely fingers. The model doesn't mean anything. You must be able to count the hairs on my knuckles for some reason. Who knows why? But yeah, like I said, I had a lot of fun with this layering up the cloak because it's such an interesting shape and it takes the layering so well. With that, most of the colors are on, but if you do look at the examples they showed online of New Warriors of Chaos, they did have a lot of oxidization going on the metallic sections of them, so I wanted to feed in with that as well, so I got my Nilic Oxide paint. I've tried a bunch of different companies' alternate versions of Nilic Oxide, and none of them seem to be as good as the Games Workshop one. It's kind of the same as the Blood. Blood for the Blood God is still the best hobby blood that I've found. Nothing else seems to compare. If anyone thinks I'm wrong and thinks there's another alternative out there, please do let me know. I'm always in the market for more cool kind of hobby products to show people and stuff. But for now, Games Workshop stuff just does such a great job. So I very carefully put the Nilic Oxide around all of the metallic details. I continue that around the rest of the metallic sections of the model, the horse, the bridle, and all the armor panels, everything like that. And that obviously added another cool pop of color. The nice blues and the reds and the silvers and the blacks and the browns. Does mean, although the model doesn't have kind of a lot of detail, if you will, it's still quite standoutish on the tabletop. It's still quite vibrant. I'm glad I didn't just, fold in and do the cape in like a brown or a black. So this was my finished result, my first Warriors of Chaos Knight, ready to be fielded and used in games of Warhammer the Old World. The last thing I decided to do was grab a little bit of burnt tufts from Green Stuff World. Obviously these are the extra large ones, so they're quite tall. So I just used my scalpel blade to split them in half. Obviously, it's quite a large area of tufts, so sometimes I like to break them apart and use them in 2 different sections of the base. Obviously, it just saves on using so many tufts. And I think it looks really nice on the model. So a bit of super glue in place and then push them down where they need to be. You can definitely tell I didn't glue any of the tufts to my fingers here. As I pull my finger away, it comes away completely clear, not stuck at all, not pulling just ignore that bit. Yeah. Anyway, this is the finished Warrior of Chaos model. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more Warriors of Chaos stuff, please do let me know in the comments below. If you want to see any specific thing for Warhammer the Old World, please don't hesitate to go down to the comments below and be like, I want to see you paint a Rune Priest for Dwarves or a Wood Elf Dragon or whatever, and I can get that done for you guys. So thank you guys so much for sticking around and watching the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it and you're looking forward to more videos in the very near future. Don't forget to subscribe.